The walls come first. Across the open savanna of what is now northern Nigeria, men dig into the earth. Deep, wide trenches. They pile soil high, shaping fortifications that stretch for miles. These walls are not decorative. They are warnings. Every wall marks a city taken. Every wall says the same thing. You are no longer free. And behind these walls is not a king. It is a woman. Her name is Queen Amina of Zazzau, a ruler so feared that centuries later, the land still remembers her through scars in the soil. In a world where women were expected to rule quietly, from behind curtains, Amina chose the battlefield. She didn't just govern, she expanded, she conquered, and she rewrote what power looked like in pre-colonial Africa. This story takes place in the 16th century, long before Nigeria existed as a country, long before European colonization reshaped the continent. Northern Nigeria was then a network of powerful Hausa city-states: Zazzau, Kano, Katsina, Gobir. These were not small villages. They were commercial and political centers plugged into trans-Saharan trade routes. Gold, salt, leather, cola nuts, and enslaved people moved through these cities. Whoever controlled the routes controlled wealth. Whoever controlled wealth controlled survival. This was a patriarchal society, but not a simple one. Women could hold influence, especially royal women, but military command and territorial expansion belonged almost exclusively to men. That is the world Amina was born into, and that is the world she would disrupt. Amina was not an outsider fighting her way in. She was born at the center of power. She was the daughter of Queen Bakwa Turunku, ruler of Zazzau. This matters. Amina grew up watching diplomacy, warfare, and leadership from the inside. According to Hausa oral traditions, Amina trained in horsemanship and combat, skills rarely emphasized for women. She learned how authority worked, not in theory, but in practice. When her brother later ruled Zazzau, Amina did not fade into the background. She observed, she learned, she prepared. This wasn't rebellion, it was positioning. When Amina ascended the throne, her rule was already a challenge to tradition. But she didn't stop there. Zazzau sat in a vulnerable position, surrounded by rival states, dependent on trade routes that could be seized or cut off. Defensive leadership would mean eventual decline. Amina chose offense. She led military campaigns against neighboring territories, expanding Zazzau's influence across large parts of what is now northern Nigeria, and possibly beyond. She wasn't fighting one enemy. She was fighting rival states, political stagnation, and the unspoken belief that a woman could not sustain power through force. Her strategy was brutal and effective. Conquer, occupy, fortify. For decades, oral accounts suggest over 30 years, Queen Amina led campaigns across the region. After each conquest, she ordered the construction of massive defensive walls around captured cities. These fortifications, later known as Ganuar Amina, served two purposes. First, military defense. Second, psychological domination. These walls announced permanence. They told surrounding states that Zazzau was no longer a rival. It was an empire. Unlike raiders who looted and withdrew, Amina stayed. She reshaped political boundaries and secured trade dominance. Power demands payment. Amina's personal life is largely absent from the historical record. Oral traditions suggest she never married or rejected domestic roles expected of her. Some stories romanticize this. Others imply it was political necessity. What's clear is this: her life was defined by command, not companionship. There are no diaries, no letters, no personal confessions. Her legacy survives almost entirely through action. Even her death is uncertain. Some accounts place it during a military campaign, Others suggest she ruled into old age. That uncertainty is not accidental. Women's histories were preserved through memory, not documentation. In her lifetime, Amina transformed Zazzau into one of the most powerful Hausa states. After her death, her story took a different path. Colonial historians dismissed her as myth. Later retellings softened her into folklore, a warrior queen without politics, violence without strategy. But that distortion misses the truth. Queen Amina was not a fantasy figure. She was a state builder. Her walls, her campaigns, and her economic dominance prove that women held and exercised real power in pre-colonial Africa. History did not erase her completely. It just tried to shrink her. Queen Amina's story matters today because it dismantles three lies. The lie that African history begins with Europe. The lie that women lacked authority before modern feminism. And the lie that power must look male to be real. Amina did not ask permission to lead. She didn't rule symbolically. She didn't govern gently. She expanded borders. She fortified cities. She made herself impossible to ignore. And centuries later, the land still remembers her, not through words, but through walls.